Okay, so this is Full Metal Monkey here, just doing a quick video, basically to sort of show people how to use torpedoes in World of Warships. This is a replay, so it won't show up the predictive lead target indicator when you're using your torpedoes. But the reason why I'm making this is just because a lot of my clan mates aren't quite sure how to use torpedoes, and it's easier to just make a video and just show them how it's done by a pro. So anyway, destroyers, in my opinion, are stealth ships. You need to know the detection range before you start your match, and you also need to know your torpedo range as well. So at the moment, obviously we're just heading towards A. You'll see on the mini-map around my ship is a circular dotted line. At the moment I've got my guns selected. That's the range, the maximum range of my guns. So if there's a ship within on the inside of that circle, they're in range. If they're on the outside, they're not. And the same thing happens with your torpedoes, but when you bring up your torpedoes, as you can see, it's slightly smaller now. So anyway, I've just brought up my torpedoes. And the reason why I headed over here is because this little gap between these two islands in front of us is very, very handy, because I can use the islands as stealth, because you obviously can't see through islands, and it also gives me a bit of cover from their guns. So here we are, we've spotted a couple of ships now. The detection range on my Minakaze is 5.9 kilometers. So I've just fired off a couple of torpedoes there as well, just in case there's a ship hugging that island and decides to pop out and be like, surprise, with some torpedoes. So I think I'm going to go for that Omaha because it's the closest, and as you can see, it's just on the edge of my range. If I was to fire now, I would have a good chance of hitting him because he will be entering my torpedo's range. So here I am, I'm just waiting to reload, and the good thing with the Minikaze, it does have a fast reload speed, and the torpedo range is 7 kilometers, and my detection range is 5.9. So as long as I'm between 6 and 7 kilometers, I can shoot my torpedoes without being detected. So here you are, I've just fired them off. I will say that during this match, I fired my torpedoes in a cautious spread, meaning that I was accounting for ships turning to avoid my torpedoes, which meant that, especially this salvo, I believe this is salvo, I could have gotten a lot more hits on him, but I didn't, just because of how wide. You see how wide they are there? Yeah, see, only one of them torpedoes is going to hit, whereas if I did it a bit tighter, which you can do it in a wide spread, which they're currently in at the moment, and there you go, that's a more narrower spread. Which is just changed by hitting the 3 key. So that's a wide spread, and I'm going to do a narrow spread. Yeah, there you go, and there's the narrow spread. So what I was probably doing there is, when you're aiming in torpedo mode, that Omaha I will have selected as a target, which you can bring up with the X key. It will bring up automatically, but you can change your target with the X key. So like that Wyoming, if there's M3 ships there together, I can change the target between the 3 of them at will. So again, I'm using the islands as cover. They have not detected me. I have 6th sense, or as it's called in Warships, situational awareness, which will tell me when I've been detected. I've still not been detected, so they know I'm there, because obviously they can see my torpedoes, but they don't know where I am. So anyway, so here I am. The Wyoming is very, very close to detecting me, and 5.9, 5.8, still not been detected. There you go, I've just been detected. You get the detection marker there. I've used my smoke, or I used it a little while ago. Again, the smoke, it gives your position away, because once it's set, they see a great big cloud of smoke, and there's not fog effects in the game. Well, like natural weather in the game. So that Wyoming, I don't know what he does. He ends up beaching himself. I don't know whether it's because he turned to avoid my torps or what. I don't know. So I've just launched them off. I don't think any of these hit. Another tip as well, when you're in your destroyer, which I didn't do in this match, only because they didn't have any aircraft carriers, is turn off my secondaries. You can do that by hitting P, which just basically stops your AA guns and your cannons, your secondary cannons from firing, because at the moment they start shooting, your detection range increases. So you know you're not as stealthy anymore. So yeah, there he is. The Wyoming's beached himself, which is brilliant. Again, I overcompensate because I figured, you know, what you're going to do when you beach yourself, you're going to reverse up and then start pulling away again, which is what I assumed he did. So I fired one directly at where he was and two slightly in front of him. And I think when I turn round is when, yeah, I'm turning round. Turning round, there we go. Right, so I hit him twice, didn't kill him unfortunately, but he is a battleship, and the Minikaze's torpedoes don't do as much damage as what others do, but the reload speed is pretty good. So I see the torpedo bomber there. He's just fired off 3 torpedoes. Now I've just fired off 1 set, but I'm waiting because I wasn't quite sure whether his torpedo, the carrier's torpedoes, were going to kill him, which it doesn't. So I fired off my other set to finish him off. Now I'm pretty sure, I was pretty safe that they were going to hit. So I'm not going to bother swinging around for him, because by now the enemy team know where I am, and that St. Louis definitely knows where I am. So he's just out of my range. He's 1.5 kilometers out of my range, because my acquisition range on this is 7 kilometers. There you go. That's the Wyoming destroyed. So I'm just turning. You know, you don't want to ever stop moving in a destroyer. They're fast for a reason, because you've got no armor and you've got very little health, and your shit gets blown up like nobody's business, especially your engines. So yeah, I'm just firing off a salvo at him. You know, just to sort of let him know, like, look, you know, don't fuck with me. He's fired a shot at me, he misses. St. Louis have lots of guns. That didn't miss, but I did very little damage. I was quite fortunate there. I think that was the Phoenix that shot at me then. So again, you know, the Minikaze, it's got such a low profile, it can be quite hard to hit. And it seems to have decent armour. Or at least at that range. I don't know, maybe I just got lucky there. So those torpedoes missed, but not a problem. I'm heading around behind him now. Although it looks like he's turning by the minimap. And that's another thing, you always want to pay attention to the minimap and know where the enemy are. So I see the I decided not to go for the St. Louis anymore, and I've gone for the Furitaka, and you just see on the screen there, you see the grey lead indicator. That's what normally pops up, but during because this was a recording of a replay, which I enabled with the preferences.xcml file, it is still a bit buggy, so it doesn't show up. But that was a good hit to the Furitaka. I was hoping that other one would hit. So again, you know, he's got torpedoes, which a lot of Japanese cruisers do. Thankfully that destroyer kills him, or was it a cruise, I don't know. Thankfully that St. Louis would have died, but my engines have just been knocked out and I've got 27 seconds before I can repair them. But obviously I'm still moving, so what am I going to do? I'm going to turn my ship and try and get my torpedoes facing him, because I'm not dead. Most people will switch their cannons and start shooting at them. That's not a destroyer's. You know, it's not what destroyers are known for. They're known, especially the Japanese destroyers. They have great torpedoes. You know, you want to use them. And don't start shooting your cannons willy-nilly, because it gives you away the moment you start firing, and that's not what you want to do.
Problem solved.
Once you've been detected and you're gonna have time to get out before you get out of range, shoot as much as you want, but until you've been detected, only use your torpedoes, in my opinion. So I'm now going to go around and try and get at Wyoming, because my engines are back up, I'm relatively safe, I'm not detected anymore. So there he is, I'm coming around. I am aware that there was that other cruiser around as well, so, but I think he's dead, I'm not too sure. But that Wyoming, I'm going to make a beeline for him, and I've just put on my speed boost as well. Your speed boost gives you, I think it's an extra 5% of engine speed, something like that. Which, you know, it can make the difference between life and death, and it also makes the difference between whether you can get into torpedo range and kill someone or not. But generally, you know, destroyers, almost all of them are fast. Most destroyers are the fastest ships in the game, and you can catch up on a battleship or anything like that really easily. See, again, this Wyoming did me a favour. He's going between that little channel between the islands. It's great target zone for the destroyer. So I fired off them torpedoes. I fired them off quite far, but I figured by the time I get into a better range, my torpedoes would have reloaded. You know, that's just to sort of scare him, because you can use your torpedoes as area denial, and you can get ships to funnel into certain areas. You know, so many games which I play in my battleship, like the Warspite or the Arkansas Beta or any of the other battleships, you know, you can get area denied just with a decent communication between destroyers. You know, because they just set out a wide fan of torpedoes. It's just, the battleships are going to go, oh shit, they're going to turn, they're going to try and get away, because, you know, they don't want to get torped. Torpedoes are battleships' worst enemy.
Our victory is in sight.
So again, I'm not going to go around behind the battleship there, because, you know, he's got guns, he knows where I am. Fortunately, I kill him. That was a one salvo kill, which was nice. Right, so I don't know if you guys saw the minimap pop up, but there was a battleship somewhere around F7, and excuse my phone. I should have really started turning to go for that, but I didn't. I decided to go for the Tenryu, and please, Tenryu captains, it's generally most people's first experiences with torpedoes. Please stop, and this goes to anyone with torpedoes, destroyer or cruiser, and any battleships that might be out there, and CV pilots, but I don't think any battleships have torpedoes to my knowledge. Don't shoot your torpedoes if there's a friendly in front of you, or if there's a friendly in between you and your target. It's the quickest way to either get a team kill or get raged at and reported by your teammates. I have died so many times by friendly Tenryu captains who have never used torpedoes before, just fire them off willy-nilly, and, you know, it's the most frustrating thing in the world. So that was the match. We won by points, which was a shame. I'd have loved to, if that was just a normal capture the base match, yeah, I'd have loved to have sunk them other ships, because I was confident I was going to do so. I was in such good form in that game. But anyway, those are my tips. So again, use your lead indicator and use your stealth, and know your detection range and your torpedo range. It's not hard to find out. You just go to the port. In fact, I'll probably show you whilst I'm talking now. You just go to the port, you look at your ship stats. At the bottom is concealment. Click on that and it shows you the concealment range for surface vehicles and air vehicles. Air vehicles, they have to generally be between 2 and 3, maybe 4k range for a destroyer. Surface vehicles, again, it varies depending on the ship. It's generally between 6 and 7k range for destroyers. You know, also don't shoot between. If there's a friendly in between you and your target, don't shoot torpedoes, because your friendly is more than likely gonna get destroyed. Other than that, stay stealthy and hunt them battleships. Anyway guys, I hope that helped, and I shall see you all next time. Ta-ta!